Welcome back to another episode of the Black Cinema Experience
Podcast.
I'm your girl JB,
And I'm Cameron.
and today we watched another wonderful, thrilling horror. I don't want to call it sci-fi, so I'll just give it the horror genre only.
Yeah, it had a good eerie feel to it.
It had an excellent feel. It was completely scary, and it was black scary, which was crazy. Speaking of black, the network that it's on is ALLBLK. So we did go to Amazon. We did pay the $6.99 to rent this film. But if I can support a black director, black film, black actors,
Absolutely.
I'm going to support it. So it is an all-black network, and it was definitely worth the money.
It was.
It even has good scores on Rotten Tomatoes. Cameron, you want to tell us what you think about the film?
I liked the film. I thought it was filmed very well. The acting was really, really good, especially from our little star, Leah Hayes.
That's right.
And she's actually really young, so to see like that diversity of her acting was really, really good.
Okay, Leah Hayes, that is our main character. She was killing it. The premise of the story, though, how would you summarize this story?
How would I summarize it? Okay, well, I'm gonna try my best. I'm not the best at summarizing, but it is a horror. A young black girl is obsessed with death. Alrighty, and she is very intelligent. She's almost like a little genius, and she discovers how to bring back her dead brother. Bring her back from. Bring back her dead brother back to life. I don't know why I couldn't say that.
That's okay.
But and it's not all that she expected it to be.
That's a wonderful synopsis. Yeah, because she's essentially a mad scientist, and she creates her Frankenstein. He's her monster. She's an angry black girl, and she has a reason to be angry, right? Her brother was taken from her at a young age because of gang violence or something like that.
Yeah.
And, death has been all around her entire life. So this young teenage girl, adolescent, so we would say somewhere in high school, but maybe a sophomore. She's really, really young, maybe 14 or 15. But we'd say that she has a vendetta against death. So she's in her classes, she's acting out, she's trying to show and prove that death is the disease that we need to cure. And her teachers are telling her, no, cancer's the disease. And there's all this difference of opinions, but she's saying death is a disease that we need to cure, and that was her whole mission. So she started snatching dead bodies in her neighborhood, which were easy to come by because of the gang violence.
Yeah, and she's in the projects.
Right.
Project.
Right, she's in the projects. And we're going to get into this later. I don't want to go all the way into it, but those stereotypes that we don't like talking about. Every time you see a black film, you do have to either have a hood element, a drug element, a bad father, dead mother element, and this film did have all those elements. But again, it was dressed up completely different.
It had a twist to it.
So. It did. And I mean, you know what? It did. But those tropes that I look for, it sucks because everything that we watch, I'm always seeing oh, there goes the drug mother. Oh, there goes the single kid in the system. Oh, there goes the jail dad or the deadbeat or whatever. It's always there's always these tropes. But this movie was really tasteful. It was really excellently written. Every person in the story had and served a purpose. And there's moments where they all have redeeming factors too. So I thought that was really good about this film.
I think it's always really important to incorporate when you do bring in those stereotypes to kind of make them out of the box, because you don't want to, I mean, sometimes they do have that same tragic ending, but I feel like with this movie, it did a good job of kind of giving people their redemption.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, yeah, it did. I suppose it did. But she was a mad scientist for sure. I mean, I think that she scared herself with the creation of her brother, but then when she realized that she actually had the power to help others, I think that she started, there was something about her smile in the end that said, oh, I'll be bringing back everybody, and I saw the power kind of light up her eyes. So it's one of those films that I thought was really great, and I would be really excited to see a sequel to it, which is weird for me to say. I think it definitely checked off a lot of horror boxes for me, though. I was scared. I jumped.
I jumped a couple times.
I didn't know what was going to happen. And the killer was unpredictable, which is what you see in horror stories. And they shot this like a horror film.
Yeah.
So maybe it wasn't the scariest story, but they did a lot of obtuse angles, I'll say, like angles from below or angles like sideways. Like when we're seeing her father defend her, so the camera angles would tell you what they're trying to tell you in the film, right? Y'all been here long enough, so this is what I'm observing. So when the father is at the school with his daughter and he's standing up for her, we're seeing him like yelling at the teacher, but the camera's slanted. So what we're seeing two things, right? We're seeing a father defending his daughter, but it's slanted to let us know the father has bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
Like that slant was telling us everything we need to know. Like, yeah, he's doing the right thing, but something's just a little off about it. And that off thing is obviously that he was on the drugs.
Yeah.
So, I thought that was really interesting. I thought a lot of the things they did with the filming of this was really interesting.
No, I like. It's so funny you said that because like I didn't notice that, and when you brought it up, it just popped up in my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, it was like the foreshadow of his like drug issue. But he only did drugs after his son died, so he wasn't like just crackhead. It was kind of like how death pushes you past your bounds or past your limits.
Yeah.
But I feel like in reference to Frankenstein, because I do feel like it was a really like Frankenstein-esque movie. I get what you mean by saying it's like it was shot like a horror movie, even though it's not a horror story. And I feel like that's the same thing kind of with Frankenstein. It's not necessarily a horror story.
Yeah.
It just has those horror elements. It's really somebody just trying to solve a problem, which we all have to face, and it's really that can be really scary is death. And then when you overcome that, what issues that arise after that.
Right.
So I thought that was a really cool twist on it. And then obviously to see technically a hood version of Frankenstein is like always
yeah
in my book.
It was a hood version. It was. And like I can't be mad at that. Like sometimes I'll be like a little bit like, hey, why wasn't this in suburbia? Well, it'd be too sweet. You gotta put it in the hood to give the people some adversities to come against, like to overcome. You know what really had me kind of like, I didn't like this. I mean, I liked it, but I was like, oh no, I was uncomfortable because, for Black girls, I don't know. I said this when we watched the film with Pam Grier, when we watched Cinnamon.
Yeah.
I said this. For Black people, the horror needs to be a little bit more realistic for me. And in Cinnamon, it was Pam Grier whooping her and like giving her lashes. Yeah. Like that to me, terrifying.
No, seriously.
Now we're in the hood. And this guy's like, you're going to do what I say. And he says, hey, y'all. And the girls walked up.
Yeah, the jumper.
Terrifying. I'm like, if we're talking horror now.
No, and it's so relatable. If we're
talking horror now, that is my version of horror. Every little kid, I mean, if you're a Black girl and you grew up in a neighborhood that wasn't great, I don't know, I'm not going to say that our neighborhood was that bad, but like, we know what it looks like when someone's about to get jumped.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I used to always be near fights. I was always fight adjacent. Like I was always getting into some type of something for no reason. I was like next to some. People wanted to fight me, is what I'm saying. So when that stance when the girls start to stand up, people are like, hold up. But that is a horror film for real because like the terror, the fight or flight, the like, what's about to happen? Like I know what's about to happen situation. That was crazy.
No, I'm glad they didn't show it either because I mean I didn't want to see another Black girl get hit, but.
You just talked about something.
I know, but she did get hit. But I'm saying, like, obviously, we know, like, especially like with a lot of games, you get jumped in, and so to see that happen to her was so sad because she's such a brilliant girl.
Yeah,
and which I liked about the story because they did show they did show powerful Black characters all around, even the ones with issues. But like seeing this little smart Black girl who's like really on a mission, I really did like that aspect because I feel like even though she was, she was a little spicy, she was.
That's why school's smart because I go to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, she right.
No, but really, and in this case, she really did have the answers. Nobody, and it kind of goes with that trope. Like nobody expects a Black woman to have the answers, even though they do. I mean, not the trope, but like that's what it's all like. Black women are always ignored a lot of times when they have the answer. Because they've experienced it, they lived through it. You know, so it was good to see like them incorporate that in the movie.
Yeah. I was happy to see it too. I was happy to see just the light that they showed on Black women. I was watching a movie with my dad the other day, and Deborah Fishback was in it, and he's like, "I just love to see Black girls like her on TV." He's like, "It just makes me feel so good." He's like, "For years we never saw real Black women on TV." He says, "I think that's what's wrong with our youth today." He's like, they don't know how to appreciate real Black women because they've been told that mixed women are, are the standard. So he's like seeing her just makes me feel good, and she's so beautiful. And I was thinking that when we were watching our main character today, Leia Hayes, I'm like, God, she's so beautiful. She's so normal. She's so swaggy. She had her bamboo earrings, but she had her beads around her neck. She had the cornrows back, the glasses too. Like, she is a nerdy, normal Black girl with a mission of her own. And she was not afraid to stand up for herself. That whole teacher scene when the teacher was like, I'll call you Vicky. Like, whoo, Vicaria, girl, I hear you. And the reality is, like, I love that they put these little, like, this is Black people being microaggressive back. Exactly. Okay? Because we are literally telling people back right now, like, this little thing that you do that pissed me off, it really pissed me off.
Exactly.
Bitch.
And we don't like it.
And we don't like it. So I really love seeing Vicaria tell her teacher, like, okay, I guess I'll just call you Miss Bitches. That's easier. It's like, you got to start correcting these white people, but there was little microaggressions all throughout the film. I love that in so many things that we've watched lately, I feel like Black people are just trying to teach white people how to talk to them. And we're doing it by showing y'all how much y'all shit really irritate us.
Well, we have to, because literally for like the first 150 years of media, they were told they got to be able to do whatever they wanted to do and be perceive us however they wanted to. So now we get to tell them, no, this is how you perceive us. And this is how we want to be treated, and this is what you're going to do. So I feel like it's very, very important that we have to put those in our movies and in our media all around.
Breaking status quo, changing everything up. Now, one thing I want to talk about this film that I'm going to say, I'm not going to compare it to anything because it is different from anything that I've seen. But as far as the genre of horror, everybody who writes a horror story, including you, Bomani, what's his last name?
Story.
But how convenient. Bomani Story. We know the tactics used here. The whole having a little girl, the little girl there to add that extra scare factor. Even the moment where the little boy is being electrocuted and we're seeing the girl and she's seeing him, like, she's like seeing his like spirit essentially. And he's like, basically dead. Like, using kids in horror movies really how you make something horrific. It's such a added scare factor because you're not expecting a child to be a tool used to bring that scare in. But that movie, just like The Shining, when the little boy is like, red drum, it's like, oh my God, I'm terrified.
With the little finger.
Yeah. I mean, I only bring that movie up because they make film students watch it.
Yeah. Well, it's iconic, but
it is.
But it's exactly what you said. Especially, for me, I always get a little uncomfortable with little Black kids in horror because I feel like a lot of times Black kids a lot of Black kids, not all, but a good amount, have already had to experience horror, or like we always have to force Black kids to grow up so fast because they have to move differently in the world. So like I always get like a little uncomfortable, and it's like you said, I get a little scared, or it makes it even more scared. I'm just like, Lord, not the Black kids, please.
Not the sweet, innocent, articulate babies,
please. But I think but the little girl is Amani Summer.
Yeah.
She did a really good job.
Yeah.
And she really was low-key creepy.
She was good at the creep factor, but I loved her for her attitude. Because that scene with her and her big sister, she was like, go read the alphabet. A, B, C.
She really was upset.
Her sister told her without attitude before she started, and she still gave it to us raw. That little girl was so cute.
She was
perfect. So I love their use of her. I love the big sister, obviously the pregnant girlfriend of Chris. I loved her. I thought that this film had some twists and turns, boy, because like I don't know. In my mind, the sister was going to be able to communicate with her brother enough to like, use his powers for good and not evil. But he just became a kill monster.
I feel like, but that's the thing I got at the end, because I was kind of confused too. I was like, at first he was like on her side, like, but again, that was Frankenstein when he first came to life. He was like just trying to figure everything out. But then what she said at the end, when Chris started killing everybody, she was saying like, why did he kill everybody? And Vicaria, our main character, was like, they called him a monster, so he started to believe it. And I feel like that was like the whole analogy, especially with bad guys and gangs, because like they start off as these like sweet kids that we raise, and then this world or the situations that they're in pressure them to, try to get this anger out, and they get it out in a negative way, so they end up necessarily becoming a monster, and hurting the very people that used to love them. So I was like,
that was the metaphor.
yeah, but it was just so sad. So
That's exactly
sad.
what she was doing. She was like, yeah, they called him a monster and he believed it. I get it, because I think that, yeah, that was a subliminal black man. I mean, if y'all out there and y'all watching this, that was subliminal. Don't believe everything you hear about yourself.
Exactly.
Because the world is going to set the bar extremely low for you. They're going to tell you all the worst things about yourself. And if you believe it, then you become it. I think that the underlying message was real good. There were a couple things I would have liked to see too in this film. Like just one interaction with the brother.
Yeah.
I would have loved to know if Chris, was a happy person or his demeanor.
That is true.
I would have loved to like see that part of him before. It just would have added another element into him as a monster, right? Because we would have saw that there was a side to him before that, and that he wasn't who he was.
Exactly. Well, and I feel like they tried to do that at the beginning by like saying like she had like a little poem like narration like when they showed him get murdered. But it's kind of like, we need to see like the background of him hugging his sister, like them having a good time, jumping on the bed or something. Their dad coming in.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have definitely added some.
Or even layers. If he would have just been mean to her that day, you know what I mean? Like if you could have just showed us like,
oh wow,
any type of insight into
no, for real,
into him as a character or person, I would have really liked just a glimpse. I mean, it could have been them at breakfast and him calling her big head and walking out the door. It could have been just a second. And I think that in this film, a second of Chris would have been worth it. I mean, just a second. But outside of that, though, honestly, again, I still feel like it was a really strong film. They gave us a wonderful motive for our character. She lashed out in school, backing her motive that she believes death is really the disease that she needs to cure. They have her defending her, or not defending herself, but explaining herself to the little girl and telling the little girl, basically, you got to be strong in who you are, essentially. You know what I mean? This character, they gave her such a good, strong structure. I'm liking this film. Sorry. I'm liking this film for the character development. They did such a good job with the character development.
No, and I'm saying, and she actually, since her being like such a great actress, it really it was a really good performance. Like very, very good.
It was. But also, I would like to also give credit to the way that they shot this film too. Because I think that if you were a novice actor or actress, whatever, I think that this film was still shot in a way that we wouldn't have known as the audience. Because we weren't seeing all of the gruesome moments. We didn't see him like grab her arm. Like we didn't see her face respond to that. We didn't see any like, when she saw the little boy get shot outside and she looked out the window, she's backed up. She didn't scream. She didn't say anything. We didn't see anything from her there besides her sitting there on the steps staring at him. So we did. I'm not saying that she didn't have a stellar performance.
No, yeah.
She was amazing, excellent. I love this black girl. I love seeing her. I love just feeling her essence on the TV screen. It felt so good to see a regular, normal, good, wholesome, swaggy black girl. She was so cool. She was so everything I wish I could have been in high school. She was absolutely perfect. But I just think that when we're talking about this character, her character was developed really well and thoroughly. That's all.
It really was. But I also want to talk about a performance that we didn't talk about yet, which I'm shocked was Denzel Whitaker, which is Forrest Whitaker's son, who usually plays like a nerd. Well, I won't say I know his whole repertoire, but I've seen him like play like the nerdy guy. So seeing him play like the kingpin, like drug lord, low key, high key was really refreshing.
I don't know about you, but I wouldn't be scared of no nigga who beard don't connect, because that shit was wild. I was like, what is this? What is that?
I feel attacked.
All I said was I wouldn't be scared. I just said I wouldn't be scared. You could be hard, but I wouldn't be scared. I would never know. You'd have to actually hurt me for me to believe that you were hard.
True, and he did.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was doing stuff, but his goons were like out of control. Yeah. Your goon stabs you, bruh. You got to get rid of that one. He's a loose cannon.
I mean, he had been obedient up until then, but
he was too eager to smack the little girl. Though. He was like, "Yeah." I was like,
He jumped out real quick.
Wait a minute. I was still taking volunteers on that. I was gonna have one of the girls. When the girls was gonna do that, you need to hop in.
No, but I like that it showed like different elements of like the project and like how and showing essentially how people can come together, like how both their families came together, the main character's family, and also like the bad part, like how there are like some drug dealers out there, there are some crooked people, in just all in one place.
Yeah.
But also we didn't talk about how she was considered called the body snatcher, how she was over here, collecting all these bodies and kind of had already instilled fear in everybody, low key, because everybody was like, people's bodies are missing and stuff like that. They brought it up. I wish they would have expounded on that more a little bit too.
They wasn't gonna catch her. The bodies were disappearing in the hood. The cops had already forgot about these bodies. It wasn't important. That's why she was able to get away with her crimes. Mm-hmm. But there's still a part of her that was evil, right? Mm-hmm. So like that's why I'm saying there has to be a sequel, mm-hmm. because for this first movie mm-hmm. portion, there was elements of her being, oh, I'm so scared, mm-hmm. I'm so innocent. And then there were other elements mm-hmm. where she was like in the lab tearing apart body parts mm-hmm. and flesh, and you just hear her laughing, and it's echoed over mm-hmm. images of her touching body parts and cutting people open, and she's mm-hmm. just laughing. Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that's evil. I think what does it look like for a Black woman to finally actually get something right that everybody wants? Again, and this is, fiction. Like, nobody's going to cure death. That's not going to,
yeah, right.
But I'm saying, like, you think about it like this, she had been underestimated. Like, she had just got in trouble, got tackled by the police mm-hmm. for disrespecting her teacher because people are basically like thinking she's insane. She's obsessed with death.
Tackled by the police. That was crazy.
So I looked, we got to talk about that. But like, what does it look like for, like I said, a Black woman to have the answers, not just that, like a young Black girl. So I know you said evil, but I kept thinking, like, is it evil, or is she just like, I'm the one that actually solved it? Like, I fixed death, or cured death.
You mean like she's like proud of herself?
Yeah, I think it's like the hysteria of like being the only person to ever do something like this. For me, that's what I had got when I would see her laugh and stuff.
Yeah, she was definitely giving mad scientist vibe for sure, though. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just like she was proud of herself. Mm-hmm. She was like, "Haha, look at my power! Look what I've done!"
But I'm saying, I don't think she was sitting here like, I'm going to take over the world. I feel like it's like more like a.
But she wanted to change the world because death had took away so much from her. Mm-hmm. So like.
But I'm saying, but that's not like to me, like a malicious intent. Like, I'm gonna control the masses and do all that stuff. I gotta like, she really cured cancer essentially.
No, she didn't.
No, she cured. What I'm saying, because remember in that lesson they were talking about curing cancer.
I know.
She cured death.
No, she didn't.
She cured the disease of death.
Essentially, how I mathed it was that she just shocked everybody enough for them to come back to life. She just did what a defibrillator does at super high power and made the whole town blink. And now they back online.
The defibrillator can't like bring you to life once you bled out.
I don't know, maybe it can. It was sci-fi.
I know what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. She like actually found the way because there were different types of deaths that she had brought people back from or bringing people back from.
Okay, so let's just say that she did solve it. Let's just say she solved death. Either way, her motivation was strong. She had problems. She solved them. And I mean, I was still a little unsure about the way that she had to kill her brother.
Yeah, I thought that was like.
Because why did he have to say anything at all? Mm-hmm. Or if he did say something, why did he say something before she shot him? Mm-hmm. He needed to be dead. I didn't need to see him get back up. Mm-hmm. Like that little look over, I'm no monster, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. I could have did without it. Or you could have put it earlier before she shocked him. Like she could have walked into the room and he said it first. Like, I'm no monster. Mm-hmm. That she could have been like, you're no monster, you're Chris. And she'd been tying him up to the bed and then getting ready to shock him. And she could have been crying real like.
I love how emotional you're making this.
You're no monster. You're Chris. And she could have been stretching him up and then roasted him and then he was done.
Yeah, and went out in peace.
Yeah, and it would have been a much more clean, clear-cut ending to him versus, because I said, so is he dead? Because why she shock him and then he's still talking?
Yeah.
Not even still talking for the first time in sentences to us.
Well, yeah, to the audience, that's true.
Okay, and why was his face deformed?
Because she was throwing all the pieces.
Why though? Why? Like,
remember because he got shot in the head and his face was like blown out at the beginning.
Yeah, but like,
So she's like trying to fix it with the other.
whew,
And by the end, it was just like sagging. I was like, ooh.
whew,
So
they
there
did a
is a
good
little gore in the
job.
movie, so keep that in mind.
Because if you're talking about black horror, like the
Mhm.
nigga from Scream or Scary Movie, he not
Mhm.
gonna scare me. Black little blah blah and the mask, that's not gonna scare
Mhm.
me. But you talking horror and it's a nigga in a hoodie and long dreads and I
Yeah.
can't see his face and he hunch when he walk. Oh my god, I am terrified. I'm terrified. When I think of black horror, they really hit the nail on the head for me.
Yeah, I think that was a very very scary idea to play with, like for any like future slasher horror black horrors. Like,
Mm-hmm.
well, first off, because the hoodie, everybody that's like
Yeah.
already considered dangerous
Mm-hmm.
in this world we live in. But
And
just
since y'all think it's so scary, we'll just go ahead and use it.
no, literally. But it was creepy, like because like
That
the
was for the
whole
whites.
like that whole like when you can look into his hoodie, but it's like it's just dark because you can't really see his face.
Yeah. The long dreads too. The cops was like, the cops didn't even know this nigga wasn't a nigga.
Yeah.
They was just like, tall black man, suspicious, arrest him. Yeah, like you know, there's certain
Literally.
moments in like if you really think about the justification for Chris being a monster. Okay, hear me out
Mhm.
before I get canceled.
Oh,
Hear me out,
I'm
y'all.
listening. We're listening.
Okay, so everybody that he laid hands on like really had it coming.
Low key, high key.
The first person that he killed, Cliff or whatever,
drug dealer
yeah, he was a drug dealer.
to their parent, to their father.
To their father. There's some important lineups here.
Mhm.
The next nigga that he killed, or tried to kill, was the one that was following his little sister.
Mhm.
So again, he was just protecting her. The next person to kill was the cop. The
Mhm.
cop who had arrested
Yeah,
him
pick
for
up it.
no reason. He's just walking. He said, "I'm going home."
And then they shot him. Yeah.
Period. Period. Okay, so again, justified in that killing.
Mhm.
It's weird to see it from this perspective too, by the way. But I'm gonna keep on going. Well, he probably wasn't too justified in killing his baby mama, and
But she said, remember the little girl said it. She was like, "Oh, they called him a monster, so he got angry." But I don't think he was justified in killing him, like you said. But
yeah, he
that was their
believed it.
justification.
Yeah, yeah. I would say that those ones, only those ones was unjustified.
Yeah.
Even with his father, like you know, he's supposed to be raising his little sister, and
Mhm.
he's doing drugs. You
Yeah.
know, like if I was a brother watching, like get us out the projects,
Yeah.
nigga. Why are you raising her here? Like maybe you would have anger towards your father. Maybe you will come back and kill him.
Mhm.
But the girlfriend and the mama, he's wrong for that.
And the little brother.
Yeah,
So they kind of didn't
that
deserve
was
that.
sticky. He's a monster. Well, you are.
I mean, your face hanging out and everything.
You know?
But I wanted to ask you, because this has been burning in my head, like, what do you feel like it would mean for, in this fictional world, for black people to have, or for black people to have cured death? Like, how do you feel? Do you feel like it will erase a lot of trauma that black people have? Like, is that, because I feel like that's what she was going for in the movie. Like, once I cure death and bring my brother back, all my problems will go away.
Be real with you.
Let these niggas die.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that just like anything else, black people, when we get power, we be a little irresponsible. Okay? So niggas would be dying on purpose, like I ran in there, robbed a bank, they shot me, right? But I came back to life in the safe, nigga, and I stole everything, nigga. That's black people. We would be irresponsible with that power. Could you imagine? Black people like, yeah, I'm gonna just bring you back to life. Like we just got a hood healer that every time somebody dies, you'd be like, oh, Rebecca. And then her name would be like Raya or something. Raina. She'd be black. So Rainisha, you gotta cure us. You gotta help us over here.
What?
That would be the name of the hood healer. And Rainisha would be like, mm-hmm.
Bring them back.
And she would bring them back. And niggas would be going to see Rainisha every week. She'd be like, Malcolm, not again. Not again, Malcolm.
I feel like yes, for like that small demographic of, you know, the black crooks. But I feel like most people would be like bringing back grandma and grandpa so that we can have our families that they die from like diabetes or something.
Why?
So you have that generational.
Why? I hate to say it, but when people die, like their time, like thank you for the time that you had here. You made your exit. Ain't no coming back. Don't be ungraceful about it. Keep your manners and stay gone.
I'm thinking about all. Yeah, but
Why would you want to bring somebody back?
I agree with you as far as like those little funny, examples. I'm talking about like all the black women who have died from like childbirth because we have a horrible medical system, stuff like that. Like they deserve their chance, so it'll be cool to see like those people come back and see people and have kids be able to be raised with their grandparents. I feel like a lot of
that would be nice. I would have loved to be raised with my grandparents, but also like people die when they're supposed to, and they're not a part of the story. What if all of these years, like let's just say, because I never met some of my grandparents, right? So I put them on like a pedestal in my mind, like, oh, my mom's mom, she must be the best person in the world. She's got to be a Virgo, she's a perfectionist, probably real detail oriented. She spoke Spanish, had a master's degree in English. I'm like, this woman was a saint. Blah blah blah. Imagine if she was here today and she was like, "You got your titties out on the internet." She was calling me. Imagine if she was here.
Baby, I was watching the podcast and I just wanted you. Where's your slip?
I just wanted to let you know that you are unladylike. You're turning into quite a little bitch. Who knows what she could have said? I don't know. I don't know what type of mother that she actually was. True. Because she wasn't here and I never met her. I get to have this visual image of this perfect woman, this perfect grandmother who would have given me the perfect love. So when it comes down to people being here on Earth longer, no, they stay their time. People be crying about people who died. Yeah, if he would have lived a little longer, he would have divorced that wife and got a 20-year-old pregnant, and then you would have hated him. Then you would have hated your little father or your little brother, cousin. You would have hated them.
Oh my goodness.
People would have written horror stories. I think everything happens for a reason. And I'd rather just keep the version of people in my mind the best way I can. I don't even want to think about, if they were around longer, if they were around longer, what?
I mean, that's a very realistic way to look at it because, again, since this is a fantasy, it's like you only think about the good stuff. And that's not how it is. Just like in this movie, like you thought bringing back your brother was going to be a good thing, but then he ended up killing everybody, so.
But it was kind of a good thing. He took care of those gang members.
True, but then also took care of her family too. I mean, but hence she's bringing them back. But I'm saying you had to watch your father die.
I couldn't figure out though why Kato, Denzel Whitaker, was so kind to our main character,
towards the end.
Yeah.
Maybe he had a crush on her.
She was a little girl though, so that was.
But he looked old. But I'm saying he looked like he was.
No, he could have been like an 18-year-old drug pen. That'd be weird too, though.
No, they be only like 20 though.
But why was he not? He was mean to her and torturing her, but he wasn't about to like
kill her. But then remember, because he said he apologized because he was the one to send her brother to kill those guys when he ended up getting killed.
Oh,
so he felt regret.
So he felt like he owed her something. Oh, I just love when I watch a movie with Cameron and Cameron picks up something that I didn't see at all. Like I wasn't even in the room. That's crazy. Thank you. You helped me so much right there. I was like, why is he so nice?
Well, same thing for you because like all the visual stuff, I'll be like, I don't get into it. It's funny. It's like a light bulb goes off in my head once you mention them. I'm like, oh my goodness, that makes so much sense now. Cause I was wondering why the camera's over. I'm like, where's the camera moving?
I've been watching, trying to figure out what y'all trying to tell us in this scene. Because like the family dinner scene, they was doing these weird angles, where they were kind of looking around at everybody when they was all doing the rack buster or whatever the word was that they were saying. And I was like, these angles are strange, but they're really trying to give us personality. So we have a bond with these characters. So they were trying to rush that bond. Also, and I think that that's something that was done really well with the handheld shots. So there's a lot of handheld shots in the very beginning of the movie. Like we're watching the guy in the overalls walk to his car and he's got the bandana in his pocket. So now we're seeing the bandana, we're putting two and two together, we're realizing, okay, this country nigga is part of a gang.
Yes.
And
exactly.
We start to see the bandana come up more, people are hanging the bandana when people die. So we know that there's gang shit involved heavily. I just think that those handheld shots of us walking behind this person, though, helped us build that connection, like that correlation in our brain faster because we're seeing the bandana in his pocket. Yeah. It's very visual for us. And now we're paying attention to every time it pops up, you know?
That makes sense.
Handheld shots, they just make for more intimate moments, you know, because they're imperfect. So you have to actually focus harder. And this is how I perceive
what they're trying to show you.
You have to focus harder on what you're with. Yeah, that's right.
See, I learned something too. That's what this is all about.
I'm not saying I have a degree, but
only
6 classes away from the film one though. From the film one.
See? Okay. Okay, I see you.
Will I go back?
You need to.
You'll see a movie by me before I go back to school.
Well, hey, I mean, some of the greats don't have degrees, so you got the information. That's all you really need is the information.
You're right.
And a check to get the equipment, but that's coming.
Period. I got to go back to school just to keep selling me at bay. I ain't want to go back, but
exactly.
The emails
got postponed. I feel you on that one.
They keep coming. Okay, back to it.
But no, but seriously, I feel like I love seeing black horror because it doesn't necessarily minimize death, but it's just always good to see it, I guess, in a different light.
Yeah.
To make the actual death less scary. I don't know. It just helps kind of psych me out about death.
Well, what I enjoyed about this film really was the nostalgia of the way that it was shot. Mm-hmm. Again, when I was saying that they were doing things differently, that even an amateur artist, an actor could do it, I meant like there was a lot of shots that were essentially still, you know, like you see a picture. So like when she sees the cop in front of her, like a laboratory, you see her face and it kind of blurs and comes back to her face and kind of blurs and comes back to her face. Then you see the cop's head splattered on the floor. We didn't see the cop get killed. We didn't see her brother do the killing, but we know all the rest because the big nigga was like, I seen him, but the cops pulled up first. So we get it. He was there, you saw him, you got away, the cop didn't. And these moments were, and I'm thinking about these specific scenes as a filmmaker, right? I'm like, wow, they really built up a horrific moment without showing us any murder. They're going to save a lot of money on those costs without having to add the graphic blood gush and this, that, the other, by just showing us the body with the head spread out. Like they got to save a lot of money on that, but they also shot it so well. Blurred view of her face, blurred view of her face, blurred view of the body, blurred view of the body. It's like they shot it in a really good way where it's like, okay, we're seeing what happens without seeing every detail in between. So it was nice. Again, they saved a lot of money on that. And they added an element of mystery for us because now we get to imagine how it happened.
I really enjoyed the movie. I really suggest everybody spend your $7 and watch it. You know?
I mean, it was $6.99, honestly, so that's a completely different price. And it was to support a black filmmaker, Bomani Story. Bomani Story. A little black actress, Leah Hayes, Denzel Whitaker.
Carrying on that legacy, the Whitaker family.
I mean, we're seeing some names that we're going to see a lot soon. That's all I can say, because their acting was superb, and if you haven't already seen them in other things, you will start seeing them soon. But again, this is supporting black people. This is on the network, all black, but we paid for it on Amazon, and it was an excellent film. So just support it, give it a thumbs up on Rotten Tomatoes. You know, we don't want those white people getting all of the high scoring things. You know, we want these people to actually get some notice out there. So check this film out, guys. Thanks again for watching the Black Cinema Experience podcast. Bye.